What's up everyone, and welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. So as usual, be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet for more Reddit content, and let's get into today's stories. The woman who wouldn't stop humming during a classical music concert. My fiance and I enjoy going to live classical music concerts as a special date night. Yesterday, I spent $110 on 2 front row seats for holiday music we were excited for. Not even 15 seconds after the music started, the woman directly behind me began loudly humming with the music. At first, I tried to ignore it, hoping she'd stop, but she just kept going. It wasn't subtle, it was loud. You could see her being overly touchy with her husband as well, and she was clearly drunk. The husband at one point said something around the lines of her needing to stop as it's not polite, but the wife laughed it off. But I was becoming incredibly mad at this point. I'm not a confrontational guy, I hate confrontation, but I was just brewing the entire time. But my fiance seemed to not have directly noticed, so I didn't want to cause a scene or ruin her night. But 30 minutes into the concert, I told my fiance I needed to say something. I can't hear the music and I was frustrated. That's when my fiance noticed and told me it's okay and not to make a scene. Maybe 5 minutes later, the woman behind me begins singing, straight singing. If you're not familiar with classical music etiquette, you don't sing, you don't hum, you don't make a sound, you don't tap your feet. This is when I turned around, directly looked at the woman and said, "Ma'am, please stop." The woman looked confused, asked me to repeat, and I said, "Ma'am, please stop. I've been listening to you the entire concert." She then hand-waved me away out of embarrassment. The husband didn't even want to look at me. He looked embarrassed. I could hear others laughing after I said that to her. You could hear the whispers of others giggling and repeating what I said to their significant other. But guess what? She didn't stop. She tapped me on the shoulder 5 minutes later to apologize, and I waved her away. I didn't want to accept any apology, I was frustrated, and I didn't want to acknowledge her. If it wasn't for my fiance being able to enjoy most of the show, I would have asked for a refund or for someone to ask her to leave. But I do feel bad because my fiance, now more tuned to the sound, became frustrated with the humming. The woman was directly next to my ear, but my fiance, though next to me, was just a bit further and at an angle that made it as to why she didn't notice at first. But she then said something to the woman asking her to be quiet. And again, no change. Honestly, when the concert ended at the hour mark, I didn't want to do anything but leave. I paid $110 to listen to a woman hum in my ear for an hour. It was a lesson in patience, but not in a good way. So Reddit, am I the asshole for telling her to stop? Should I have escalated it to staff or handled it differently? I genuinely am not a confrontational guy. I've never been in this position before. It makes me incredibly uncomfortable, so for me to have said anything is very out of character. Yeah, it was definitely okay for OP to actually say something to her, because that woman singing and humming just isn't acceptable behavior. From my understanding as well, it is proper classical music etiquette that you stay silent during the concerts. It's not like a rock concert where chaos is expected in the crowd and you can be as loud as you want. And I'm pretty sure if someone actually told a staff member for this venue about what she was doing, they probably would have dealt with it too. I get not wanting to cause a scene and not wanting to start trouble, but her behavior was definitely unacceptable for the setting that they're in. It is kind of weird though that she even tried to apologize to OP but still continued to be noisy afterwards. I'm not allowed to drink on shift? Got it. So I work at a restaurant as a waiter part-time, usually 2 to 3 shifts a week, 9 to 5 or 4 to finish. And 4 nights ago, we had 2 tables with over 20 guests at each one. There were also several walk-ins and we were extremely understaffed. Loads of staff had taken that 4 to finish shift off for some unknown reason. Anyways, I was the most experienced waiter there as it was mostly new starts working. And apart from me, my manager was probably the most senior member of staff there. I'm 17 and I've been working there since I was 15. I'm in the UK, so it's fine for me to be working at this age. I am tasked with taking a food order from one of the tables. I go up and take the order and put their order into the tills. I then go to drink from the water bottle which I had filled at the start of my shift, and my manager tells me, "You're not allowed to drink on shift. It's far too busy, put it down." So I put my drink down. The next day I come in for my 9 to 5 shift and I don't drink. Then today I came in for my 9 to 5 shift again and I don't drink. My supervisor notices that I didn't even have my drink bottle in with me and asks why, and I tell him, Oh, manager's name told me I couldn't drink on shift, so I don't see the point in bringing a water bottle anymore. And the supervisor says, that's not right. You're allowed to have a drink at work. It's a basic human right. I'll have a chat with HR about this. Anyways, I just received a message from my manager, basically saying that he's sorry for telling me I am not allowed to drink and that he was wrong. My supervisor also texted me saying that he embarrassed the manager in front of the whole management team and owner of the restaurant, as the manager had been giving the waiters questionable advice for the past while, and apparently the owner wasn't happy with him at all. I hope he learned his lesson not to tell me I can't drink. I'm not dehydrating myself for a minimum wage job. I'll drink when I want, whether I'm on the beach or in the restaurant. You want my wheelchair? Hi, so I, female 49, am disabled. I have severe arthritis in most of my body, plus have had back surgery, knee surgery, etc. I can walk a bit, but no further than room to room in my house. So on the odd occasion I leave, I have to go with my husband in tow, as I require a motorized wheelchair. Can't wheel myself due to the arthritis. I'm always getting comments about how great my chair is or people want one. I usually ignore it. But 2 weeks ago, my husband, 41, and I had to go grocery shopping. Now I live in rural Western Australia, so you never know how someone will be dressed. I was going past this older drunk guy with no shoes on. He sees me in my chair and says, "What am I doing using my legs? I should give me one of those." My intrusive thoughts popped out of my mouth and I looked up at him and said, "Would you like the disability that goes with it?" The look on his face was priceless. He looked shocked and said, "No," before getting out of there. It felt great. I had noticed a younger woman in her 20s looking like she was trying not to listen in, and she turned to me saying, "Great answer. Some people should know when to keep their mouth shut." Take the meds that I've repeatedly told you I'm allergic to? Okay, have fun with the fallout. So some background. I'm moderately allergic to all anti-inflammatory meds, which sucks but isn't super rare. What is my reaction, which I've never seen as a reaction before or since. All of my joints lock up, and I'm completely unable to move. It's not fun, and people tend to not believe me when I tell them about it. A few years ago, I worked at the Big Brown Package place, which I had absolutely no business doing seeing as I am seriously tiny, but I needed the money. And as expected, I got hurt. I dislocated my shoulder twice. The second dislocation was so violent that it completely destroyed the ligaments in my shoulder, and I had to have them replaced. This led me to the pain management and rehab clinic. The guy in charge of me, honestly don't remember what he was, but definitely not a doctor, wanted to put me on a course of seriously heavy steroids to try to reduce the swelling, and thus the pain. I told him yet again, we had already had this conversation at least 3 other times by this point, that it wasn't an option for me. He kept at me about it, i.e. maybe you won't react like that with this brand, and something in me snapped. I told him fine, I'd do it, but that I wanted it in writing, his signature and a witness signature that he was taking full responsibility for whatever the outcome was. He readily agreed, since he didn't think I was telling the truth about the allergy. I have no idea why, because honestly I would have killed to be able to take them because they would have been the only thing to actually help my recovery. So I took the steroids and as predicted, complete lockdown. 1 EpiPen and an ambulance ride later, I was fine but seriously pissed. I gathered all my records from the ER visit and his written statement and made an appointment with the clinic's big boss. I gave him all the paperwork and told him what happened. He went pale and begged me to give him a chance to fix this. I agreed, but said that if I wasn't satisfied with the outcome, it would be dealt with by my lawyer. As I came out of the office, I saw the useless guy. He asked me how my shoulder was doing and if the steroids had helped. I couldn't help it. I smirked and said that he'd find out. Long story short, he got fired and then blacklisted in the medical community. I was satisfied and finished out my time with a wonderful pain management therapist. Brother wouldn't get off car, so I drove it. I'm a 35-year-old male and this story takes place in high school. I am the oldest of my siblings growing up. I was the relied upon child. I did my best to do what I was told and never got away with anything, even things that were not my fault. I had few friends, but really enjoyed the times I could have away from the house, as I didn't really care for my alcoholic dad's mood swings or my mom's overbearing insanity. My brother was the complete opposite, a year younger, had tons of friends, girlfriends, drank, did drugs, and would outlast my parents' feeble attempts at accountability. When I finally got my own car, mainly used to drive myself and siblings to school, I looked forward to leaving to go game with my friends or do school drama club. This was before a lot of online features became common. When I would try to leave the house, he would jump on the hood of my car to keep me from leaving. He knew he could always get away with doing whatever he wanted to me, but God forbid I ever do anything to him. I would have to get out of the car and chase him off. Then before I could pull out of the driveway, he would hop back on. Rinse and repeat until I had to get mom involved, who never did anything to make him stop doing this in the future. So this went on for weeks, maybe months, until one day something in me snapped. There he was again, grinning ear to ear at me through the windshield. Why couldn't he just leave me alone? He had anything he wanted, but couldn't let me have time to myself without making it as aggravating as possible. So I chased him off again, and when I got back into the driver's seat, like clockwork, he was back on the hood, laughing his ass off at me. So I put the car in reverse and rolled out of the driveway onto the cul-de-sac we lived on. His smile faded, but not completely. Not yet. Still believing I didn't have the guts. Then I put it in drive. I wasn't halfway to the stop sign at the end of the street before he shouted to be let off. It was my turn to smile as I hit the gas just a little. His smile was gone now and replaced with growing terror. He began screaming that he was sorry and he wouldn't do it again, his fingers growing red from the death grip he must have had on my hood. I just laughed, couldn't help it. His face turning red, tears streaming down, was the funniest thing I had seen all my life at that point. I made a turn to where the connecting cul-de-sac met with the main road. One more turn and I would be able to get it up to 60. He was blowing his voice out, screaming and begging me not to do it. I figured he got the message and let him off. He stumbled all the way home. When I got back, my mom had convinced herself it was a silly joke, instead of dealing with the fact that I could have seriously hurt him, or that she allowed the situation to get that bad. So I was off the hook. He never did it again. Anyway, friends, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more Reddit content like this. Anyway, take care and I'll see you next time.